It's currently 6:27 a.m. And I was thinking about something this morning while catching the morning early first light that scared even me. And that is that it is December. And I started posting videos in August. And we've gone from this silly, stupid notion, which I never accepted right from when I got into Bitcoin, but we've gone from this utter stupidity that the Bitcoin bull market price multiplier, is probably 3 to 1. We've gone from that to now, after explaining, after multiple videos, after demonstrating in the markets how it works, after showing that, a fake tweet can't drive $60 billion of value, and yet that's what happens. We've gone from the bull market multiplier being 3 to 1 in August to even the most financially inexperienced, the most mathematically inexperienced person understanding that it's probably closer to 100 to 1, understanding that institutions are doing this research, understanding that this is what institutions are acting on, and most importantly, seeing it and watching it play out in the market. It's now December. Started posting videos about, in this direction in August. And this is, again, why this is so important for you guys to subscribe and share these videos, because you've got institutions telling people, their clients, one thing. And then you've got doom and gloom boomers, $1,000 net worthers, $10 a month DCA gang members, and the happy hippies all getting together trying to screw over the average person by not actually explaining what institutions are actually saying, because they don't understand it. And they want to live this blueprint of the world that they see, which is a horrible world. I do not ever want to see the world and live in a world from the perspective of a $1,000 net worther or a $10 a month DCA gang member. I just don't. I'm sure there's a market of people that does. I don't want to do that. I don't want to travel to places and have to stay in shitty hostels. I don't want to do that. So I don't hang out with that crowd. Right? Now, my point here, the part that scared me, is that if I can help and if I can shift the Overton window, which is basically the range of acceptability, or what is acceptable, if I can help shift the Overton window on the idea that Bitcoin's bull market multiplier is not a stupid 3 to 1, but more closer to what institutions have been telling us since 2021. It's more closer to 100 to 1. And I'm spending $0, just my time. Well, that's not true. I got a tripod, $80. Okay, no, a microphone too, so maybe like $280. And time. If I can do this inside of 4 months, from August to December, and I got, the biggest channels are talking about it now. Everyone's making videos on the bull market multiplier, etc., etc. That didn't exist before August, right? If I can do this with $280 of investment and time, without taking sponsorships, with no there's no other incentives to do that. Just imagine what BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, ARK, and everyone else who's issued an ETF who can do it inside of 5 years with hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing budgets and the control over all of the capital flow. Remember, this is the same institution, BlackRock, that sent a letter to all of its companies that it owns shares in and said, if you ever want capital from BlackRock again, you will move towards an ESG friendly environment. This is the same company that is issuing a Bitcoin ETF at this point. So they've got hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing budgets, control over all of the capital flow that moves in the market, control over all of the advertising channels with the absolute financial incentives to do it, because they get fees. I don't make fees off of anyone's Bitcoin, right? If anyone has learned about the bull market multiplier and gone, shit, I need to get into Bitcoin, British HODL doesn't earn a fee. Yet, these guys will. They absolutely will. And they've got hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing money behind them. Control over all of the channels that marketing goes through. Imagine what they can do in 5 years if I've managed to change the conversation in 4 months with no money, with just time. And I got to battle happy hippies, $1,000 net worthers, $10 a month DCA gang members, and the doom and gloom boomers. BlackRock doesn't care about them. BlackRock will just drown them in marketing, pro-Bitcoin marketing. You know, in life, what I've learned is that there are people in the world that just need something to be obvious before they get on board. They just need something to be obvious. And I understand it, because most people don't have my risk profile. Most people do not have the ability to sit in something that's trending down for the long term, because they got family, right? They've got children, they've got mortgages, they've got real shit to deal with. Most people weren't in a position where they figured out the money part when they were younger. Most people are figuring that out now in their 40s. So I understand most people can't sit on a downtrending asset for 3 years, especially when, you know, they've got their perceived gurus telling them that the asset is worthless. Which is why, you know, a friend of mine, I was talking to him yesterday, and I put this tweet out a few days ago. Warren Buffett, who made a large portion of his wealth in dollar terms, not percentage terms, through Apple, for example, Apple that make iPhones, shunned the company for years before it became obvious to him. Now, Warren Buffett is an extremely wealthy individual, and he's extremely smart and intelligent about value investing. Do I ever want to listen to Warren Buffett about tech investing? Absolutely not. Because to Warren Buffett, Apple only became obvious in 2016. It only became obvious to him in 2016 at a valuation of $600 billion. His wealth could have been multiple times higher, but the risk, both the real and the perceived risk, was too high until $600 billion. And if I can, my point is this, if I can shift the Overton window on the bull market multiplier and change the conversation from it's a stupid 3 to 1 to it's actually 100 to 1 in 4 months with no dollars, just time. Imagine what happens with entities with hundreds of millions of dollars and 5 years, 10 years of time, and every 4 years their dollar fees compound because the price of the asset goes up. Imagine what they can do when the obvious switches are about to kick into gear. The obvious switches. What do I mean by the obvious switches? Well, number one, the most obvious switch for Bitcoin, right? It's like a light switch. It's like, oh shit, it's obvious now. Is the spot Bitcoin ETF. Once that comes out, this starts to become an obvious investment. Obvious allocation. Of course I need Bitcoin in my portfolio. We don't have Bitcoin in the portfolio? Oh, listen, you better put Bitcoin in the portfolio. Put a couple percentage points in Bitcoin in the portfolio. There's an ETF now. And the next point that a lot of people are not talking about is when Bitcoin surpasses gold's market cap. That will be a shot like it has never received. The fact that Bitcoin can surpass gold's market cap will be a switch, an obvious switch like you've never seen before. And I'm talking about the institution. I'm not even talking about retail. I'm not talking about retail here. I'm talking about to institutions. Bitcoin is above gold's market cap. Wait a second. What have we been missing here? What did Larry get right? What did we miss here? So I believe that the real money will actually come into Bitcoin after a $619,000 Bitcoin price, which is where that's gold market cap. And I believe that will happen not in this upcoming cycle, but the next cycle. And so the real opportunity for you and I is not when Apple is 600 billion, but when it's 30 billion. Right? The question is, are you going to buy some Apple stock when it's 30 billion? Can you see what is happening here? And again, I want to reiterate, if I can shift the Overton window of obvious in 4 months using an iPhone and a microphone and now a tripod, but that only came like 3 days ago, so that's different. The shaky camera. If I can do this inside of 4 months, imagine what BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, ARK, and all these companies can do inside of 5 years with unlimited marketing budgets, the full financial incentives to actually do it because they earn fees from managing the Bitcoin, and these obvious switches about to flip with the spot Bitcoin ETF being approved, and in the next few years, Bitcoin surpassing gold's market cap. Just think about the momentum that's coming here. It's getting scary. And while all of this is happening, you've also got Bitcoin being taken off exchanges at the most fastest pace we've ever seen. You've got almost no Bitcoin left on exchanges at this point, right? Less than 1.5 million from what I saw. You got less than that to be mined until 2140. This doesn't even include what the miners can do as their share price goes up. Miners can also do marketing, and they're incentivized to do so. So my point here is that this is coming to a head and everything's about to be obvious, and the players that can actually shift the Overton window on Bitcoin are lining up. And you saw that with Google. Google suddenly quietly changes their policies to allow you to invest or allow you to advertise Bitcoin trusts. The Overton window is shifting on Bitcoin, and it is about to get too late, because when it shifts, it's going to shift hard and it's going to shift fast. And you're either going to be standing there with the bag that you want, or you're not, which is why I'm imploring people to study this now. There is a timeline that is closing on this, which is why I say I don't think I'll be around talking about Bitcoin for the next 20 years. I don't think I'll have the time. I think most people are going to miss it, which is why it's very, very important that you subscribe and help me spank the YouTube algorithm to putting Bitcoin content out in front of more people. So just to summarize, I, with $280 worth of equipment, have managed to shift the Overton window, the range of acceptability, on the idea that the Bitcoin multiplier is not what the doom and gloom boomers thought, 3-to-1, but actually closer to what the institutions have been saying for 2 years, which is 100-to-1. Inside of 4 months, between August and December, and you can go watch the videos to actually prove it to yourself. Everyone's talking about it now. You've got channels doing videos on bull market multiplier. That wasn't even a phrase before I said it. And I can do that inside of 4 months, and now the biggest players in the world are about to be equipped with the obvious switches that are, number one, a spot Bitcoin ETF is being issued in the United States, and Bitcoin will surpass the market cap of gold within the next 6 to 10 years. And in addition to that, they've got unlimited marketing budgets. They've got hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on shifting that. They've got complete control over all capital flow that moves in the market. And they can demand you to understand it. And on top of that, they've got all the financial incentives to do so because they earn fees as a result of you understanding it. Imagine how obvious Bitcoin is going to be in the next 10 years. Imagine how fast that Overton window is going to shift on Bitcoin being an acceptable asset. It's getting scary, but despite all of that, there are still only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.